Powerful output, small form factor, comes in a kit and is quite affordable as well. This is the Colbor CL220 LED light. Oh, and its accent color is yellow, and let's be honest, who does not like yellow as a color? I really like it. Let's get into the review of the Colbor CL220 LED COB light, one of the best price to watt performance lights I've ever used. The light itself has been sent to me by Colbor for reviewing purposes, as well as two softboxes in 65 and 90 centimeters. They have no saying in what the review is about, they don't see it beforehand, and of course no money has changed hands. As always, I have 6 points to talk about in this review, so let's start with the first one directly, which is build quality, materials and the kit itself. The CL220 I have right here is the kit version, which costs €20 more than the regular one and comes in a nice fabric transport box that feels high quality and has enough space to transport even more than what is delivered. This kit version also includes the Bowens Mount reflector dish. Everything else is the same in both variants, namely the light itself, the COB cover, the power adapter that has a nice metal wire lanyard attached to it for hanging it onto a light stand, a 3-meter long power cable, a user manual, and a clever little NATO Expansion Bar that in combination with the light's build shape offers up a few more tricks and neat features, more on that later. The fabric transport box comes in at roughly 4.5 kilograms fully loaded, and in itself is very nicely made. The seams all look tight and the box itself has a few different abilities as well. It has separate spacers that can be repositioned to your liking and to whatever you need to transport. It has a shoulder strap that can be attached to the side, and it has a zipper pouch compartment which holds all your small accessories and thingies you need for a shooting day. Also fantastic is the extra straps on top of the case, which lets you transport, for example, the corresponding light stand to the CL220. In my opinion, the transport box is absolutely worth the €20 you have to invest on top, especially when you also get the reflector dish as well. The CL220 is made out of a mixture of different materials, which includes aluminium alloy as well as plastics and metal. The metal is used in the most important parts of the light, the handle as well as the light stand connector on the bottom. In itself, the CL220 is a very compact light and comes in at roughly 1.6 kilograms. This can be easily handled on set with the built-in handle that also sports a nice creepy texture on the inside. Even though the CL220 is mostly plastic, I feel like it is sturdy enough to lift through multiple sets and positions each time it is used. Now let's get to the before mentioned NATO Expansion Bar, which does multiple clever things at once. First, this attached to the side of the light right here, this box shape is the same on all Colbor lights actually, so this works with all of their light ranges. This not only serves as a way to mount different accessories to the side of the CL220, giving it the ability to actually add a V-mount plate to the light or a double V-mount plate if you want to, and therefore making it also a very good mobile lighting solution for outdoor shootings. At the release of this video, this isn't available yet, but it should be released hopefully soon. The NATO Expansion Bar also serves another purpose, the connection of multiple lights into, they call it the light cube tower, without the need for accessories such as a 4-light bracket, like this one right here. This becomes very useful when you need more output concentrated onto the same spot, but you only have multiple smaller lights. In my opinion, this is a very clever solution to make life a bit easier on set when you go with the Colbor route. Speaking of having it on set, next up in my list of points I'd like to talk about in this review is the real world usage of this light. I had this on a big shooting a couple of weeks ago, on which I filled up the role of a gaffer and used it mainly as a top-down light boomed from above, creating highlights not only on the products but also as a kicker and hairlight for the actors. As the softbox, we used Colbor's newly released 90cm Dome Softbox that comes with a double diffusion layer on the inside as well as a honeycomb grid for tightening the light spread. The softbox itself is very standard, there isn't much to a softbox, except for the folding mechanism, which I have never seen before, which is a 2-point clamping mechanism. Well, this mechanism is the only critique I have, due to its overall use of, well, plastic and the force you need to apply to make it bend into its shape. I think this could be a weak point and could potentially break after using it over a certain period of time. But back to the main reason you are watching this review, the CL220 LED COB light. Overall, in my opinion, the light output was quite good and it delivered everything I needed from the light, especially in this overhead scenario. Except there was one quirk that made it a bit laborious to handle. When your director on set asks you to tone down the intensity a bit, On most other modern LED lights such as Aperture or Godox, you use the app that is actually connected to the light and tone it down a couple of notches like this. Well, Colbor has an app, but it did not work on any of the 3 days I wanted to use it. It was just an interest in actually connecting to the light. So me or my assistant actually had to lower the whole setup every time there needed to be some changes, dial in the percentage and raise it and position it again, seeing if this works. This takes a couple of minutes and is therefore not really the ideal solution on a busy set. At the release of this video, the connection between the light and app has actually been fixed and it is now usable the same way as all the other manufacturers' app, so no problem with you there. I just wanted to tell you about that. Speaking of other manufacturers, let's get into the testy bit of this review and compare it with 2 other lights that I have in my studio for quite some time now. Both are from Godox. First, the Godox SL150 Mark II, the Godox version, as well as the budget one, the Godox Lightmons LA150 bicolor light. Both of those have a smaller output volume, but overall we can test them against each other since they are roughly in the same price category. As you can see, the Colbor CL220 has a roughly 30% more output than the other 2 lights for almost the same budget. The Lightmons has 32% less output in total and the SL150 Mark II 35% less. This results in having to use a higher T or f stop on your lens for getting the same light. I also tried shooting all 3 of the lights through the same softbox and then trying to see how the image looked afterwards. I really like the image of the Colbor the most, closely followed by the Lightmons and then the original Godox. Also pretty interesting is the reproduction of skin colors when using LED lights. This is something that very cheap LED COB lights often don't get right, but as you can see in my test, the Colbor CL220 does a nice job in rendering skin color in a natural way. Next up on my list is the actual fan noise as well as the interface of the light. Starting with the fan noise, there are 3 different modes you can use. These are Smart, which adjusts the fan according to the temperature of the light. Quiet, which tries to keep the fan to a minimum, and Performance, which uses the fans at max power all the time. And I have to say the fan is barely hearable in any of the 3 modes. I use Smart most of the time. So you can also use the light on interview or documentary sets. Here is a small audio recording of all 3 modes. And now let's have a look at the physical controls of the light. There are 2 dominant knobs, one that is used for changing the light output in 1% steps, or you can push the knob in to jump through some presets for quickly getting to a certain value. The second knob is for changing the Kelvin value, hence, well, this is a bicolor LED, I think I haven't mentioned it yet, making it colder or warmer in the process. There are also 10 built-in effects, all of them can be changed by its rates, the dimming as well as the CCT value in the process. And then there's also the settings button, which lets you pair your light to your app, change the fan mode, you can change groups if you have multiple lights, even more settings when owning, well, multiple lights. But in my opinion, this is done much easier inside of Colbor's app, which is the last point actually on my list. After the update, the app works pretty flawlessly and connection as well as changing parameters have worked like a charm. The app is still in its beginning stages, same as, well, Colbor the firm itself. But the more product Colbor designs, the more useful the app ecosystem gets in coordinating multiple lights at the same time on your set. This is what I like so much about Aperture lights, and in my opinion, Colbor is on the right track with the ideas and the equipment right now. All in all, I really enjoy using the lights on set. It's easy, well, they look actually good, and the clever twists and turns make this a great light to add more to in the future. I really like the NATO Expansion Bar and its functions such as the V-mount battery solution that can actually be bought separate, the multi-light cube which is built into this design, and above all, well, the price point of the light, which is, for the 220 watt power that it produces, still a lot cheaper than the competition. The Colbor CL220 is often available for €300 per piece, which in my opinion is the best price to watt performance ratio I've seen so far in LED COB lights. And as soon as Colbor releases that CL330 watt light, I will review this as well, and hopefully also then the cube functionality as well as the V-mount option. Colbor in itself was kind enough to sponsor those two lights for an upcoming bigger project towards the end of the year, which will and is in pre-production status since February of this year. More on this topic when it's time for the grand release and reveal of the biggest project I have actually ever done in my life. As always, my name is Leech and I'm off writing the next scripts. If you enjoyed this video, then actually make sure to subscribe to this channel. There are plenty more of this type of content and of course many other things available for you to watch. Have a great day, see you around, and goodbye.